another story. This is part 5 of David Valiant's Grandpa's Great Escape, starting from chapter 10, Facts, Facts, Facts. From the back of the classroom, Jack dived in to defend his grandfather. Miss, it's best you don't keep on interrupting by asking questions. But this is a history lesson. We need facts, 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 replied Miss Verity. Just please let the wing commander finish his story, Miss, and we can get all those later. Very well, muttered the history teacher, grasping her red chalk in readiness. Please carry on, Mr. Bunting. Thank you, madam, said Grandpa. Now, where was I? It was clear the poor old man had lost his thread. It was a good job that his grandson knew the story so well. He had heard this particular tale of daring do hundreds of times, but never tired of it. Jack prompted his grandfather. You saw the first mesmership and gave the order to dive. That's right, man. As soon as my squadron of Spitfires descended through the clouds, we released that. This would be the fight of our lives. Grandpa's eyes lit up. He was back in the moment as if it was yesterday. The radar had estimated 100 planes in total. This looked more than like 200. More 100 junkers and as many mesmerships. As for us, we just had 27 Spitfires. The children were enraptured. Miss Verity was busily scribbling up her precious facts on the blackboard, like how many aircraft at each side, in an array of multicoloured chalks. As soon as she finished, she switched back to red chalk for dates only, and opened her mouth as if she was about to speak. But before she could say their words, the entire class went, shh. Grandpa was on a roll now, and all the children were eating out of his hand. I pressed on my machine guns, and the battle commenced. It was thrilling and terrifying in equal measure. The sky was filled with bullets, smoke and fire. Bang! I hit my first mesmership. The Luftwaffe pilot parachuted out. Brang! And another. Our mission that day was to take down the junkers. They were deadly ones. Each one of those bombers were carrying tons of explosives. If we didn't stop them, their bombs would be raining down on the men, women and children of London. Up in the skies, the battle raged for what seemed like hours. The RAF must have shot down 50 enemy aircraft that day, continued Grandpa. Many of the other Luftwaffe pilots were so badly damaged they had to retreat back across the channel quick-smart. My squadron returned to base that day as heroes. All the children in the class burst into wild applause. Hooray! Chapter 11, A Legend. As the applause died down in the classroom, Grandpa began again. But this was no time for celebrations. We knew the enemy would be back in school, in even greater numbers than before. The Battle of Britain had well and truly begun. As for my squadron, I lost 4 brave pilots that day. The old man glistened with tears. The entire class sat in stunned silence. So this was what a history lesson could be. The boy sitting next to Jack turned to him and whispered, Your grandpa is a legend. I know, replied Jack, and smiled. Well, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Bunting, said Miss Verity loudly, breaking the spell. We are nearing the end of the lesson now. I have my red chalk paws at ready. We need to note down all those facts. So please, can you tell what the year all this happened? The year? Replied Grandpa. Yes, I need to put it out on the board. If my pupils are to have any hope of passing their exams next term, we need to know the facts, and yet more facts. The old man looked at the teacher confused. It's this year. What do you mean this year? Asked the teacher. This year, madam, 1940. The class chuckled uncertainly. Surely the old man was joking. Jack shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Miss Verity gave everyone another of her famous death stares, and they were silent once more. You seriously think it's 1940? Yes, of course it's 1940. King George the Fourth is on the throne, and Mr. Churchill is the Prime Minister. No, Mr. Bunting. This is 1983. It can't be. Yes. Queen Elizabeth II is on the throne, and that wonderful Miss Thatcher is Prime Minister. Grandpa did not look all convinced. In fact, he stared at the teacher as if she was bonkers. Mrs. A lady? Prime Minister? You must be having a screw loose, madam. I think it is you who has the screw loose, Mr. Bunting. Now, thank you so much for your so informative visit, said the teacher sarcastically. Now, goodbye. As if shooing a pigeon, Miss Verity ushered the man out of his chair. Under his breath, she muttered to the class, No need to write down all that thing the old man said after all. He doesn't know what year it is, and he's still wearing his slippers. Poor Grandpa stood at the front of the class. He'd been soaring in the sky, and now he looked like he'd crash-landed onto the ground. Jack's heart ached for him. Dring! The bell rang, not a moment too soon. The boy had never been so relieved a lesson had ended. Jack pushed past the other children to get to his grandfather as they all scrambled out of the classroom. It had gone from being the best history class ever to the absolute worst. Just as Jack reached Grandpa, Miss Verity called the boy. Jack, may I have a word, please? A moment, sir, said the boy to his grandpa as he plodded over to the teacher. Promise me you will never bring your grandfather into my classroom again, the lady hissed. I promise, replied Jack angrily. There's no way I'm bringing him back here. The boy spun around and reached out for Grandpa's hand. His old skin felt almost like a child's, soft and silky. Come along, Wing Commandment, let's return to base. I don't understand, muttered the old man. Was the briefing not clear? Did I let you down? Seeing his grandfather like this, it was hard not to cry, but Jack was determined to be strong. No, Wing Commander, you didn't. You have never, and you never will. Chapter 12. Bunking Off. Bunking off school was not something Jack had ever done before. However, he knew he had to make sure Grandpa got all the way home safely. The old man was much more confused than usual. Miss Verity had completely taken the wind from beneath his wings, and now Grandpa was looking a little wobbly. And the last thing the boy wanted to do was to call his parents. If they found out how disastrously Grandpa's visit to the school had gone, chances were they would send him straight to Twilight Towers. So Jack led them back to Grandpa's flat. When the pair approached, Raj was in the grimy window of his shop. The newsagent was busy showing off his artistic side. He was arranging a rather surreal display of his two main special offers for the week, licorice and football cards. The licorice was wrapped around the cards, making both look highly undesirable. As soon as he spotted Jack and his grandfather, Raj rushed out the shop to greet them. Ah, Mr. Bumptin. It's Buntin, corrected Jack. That's what I said, protested Raj. Bumptin. Like all the local children, Jack liked the newsagent very much. The man never failed to put a smile on your face. So, Mr. Bumptin, how is my favourite customer today? I was worried sick when you went missing from your flat in the middle of the night. Ah, Chawala, there you are, proclaimed Grandpa. Chawala? What on earth does that mean? Asked Jack. He never heard such a phrase before. Raj whispered to the boy. I asked my father back in India. He told me it's the name for an Indian man who served tea. They sometimes did it to British soldiers during World War II. I think your grandfather is getting more confused by the day. What's that, Chawla? Barked up Grandpa, as he started helping himself to some out-of-date bars of chocolate. Nothing, sir, replied Raj. I found this much easier to go along with him, he added in a whisper to Jack. Me too, replied the boy. Now I'm going to need some help getting him settled upstairs. Of course, young man. Before we go, might I be able to introduce you into the copy of the Radio Times of 1975? No, thank you, Raj. The newsagent was not giving up. Many of the shows on TV are now repeats, so it might still be accurate. We should really be getting him upstairs. Of course. Now, would you like me to give this chocolate-covered toffee? Someone has licked off the chocolate, and the toffee's centre is missing. But the newsagent took a shiny piece of purple paper from his pocket. Raj, that's just the wrapper. That's why it's half price. There's no sweet. You can sniff the wrapper. Enough chitter-chatter, thank you, Charla, interrupted Grandpa, as he stuffed a few out-of-date chocolate bars in his pockets for later. It's time for my afternoon nap. It felt strange putting an old man up to bed. Up until recently, it would be Grandpa tucking Jack in. Now the roles had been reversed. Of late, Grandpa would become tired during the day, so he'd take an hour's nap every day after lunch. Raj had locked up his shop for a short while so he could help Jack get his grandfather safely up to the stairs. 40 winks! That's what Grandpa always called his nap time. Raj drew the frayed curtains in the bedroom. As Jack arranged the old man's blanket. Make sure my Spitfire is filled up with fuel, will you, squadron leader? I need to be ready in the case we are scrambled. The lift well will be back any moment. Yes, of course, Grandpa, replied Jack without thinking. Who's his grandpa? He demanded, suddenly looking wide awake. I mean, yes, of course, Wing Commander, sir. Jack added a salute to complete the illusion. That's better, officer, dismissed. I'm plumb ticked out. With that, the boy's grandfather saluted and stifled a yawn. As soon as he closed his eyes, the deafening snoring began. Zzz, 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 zzz. Up and down went the end of the old man's moustache as Jack and Raj tiptoed out of his room. And that's where we're going to leave part 5 of our book, Grandpa's Great Escape by David Walliams. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to smash that like button and hit the notification bell. And please subscribe because that will be appreciated. See you next time. Goodbye.